Hi, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, how you doing? My name is Ash. I am a makeup artist and a book lover, and today's video is all about some Halloween books. I thought it'd be fun to put together a list of 31 Halloween books to read for the spooky season, just in case you're looking for something to add to your TBR. Disclaimer though, 30 of these are Halloween. One is kind of like fall adjacent. It's more like a cozy fantasy. I thought I'd throw in one that's not necessarily Halloween in case you just are looking for a really solid cozy fantasy read. These are going to be in no particular order. I'm going to try to get through these very fast because sometimes I can just ramble about books. All these books will be listed down below, and I will let you know if they are available on Kindle Unlimited, but unfortunately a lot of these books are not. But let's just get into it. First book is going to be Clown in the Cornfield by Cesare. If you like slasher films, if you like clowns, if you like teenage slasher films with clowns, you're going to love this. I read this last year. It was such a fun read. The thing I liked most about this was it kind of read like you were watching a slasher film. It was great. There is a book 2 and book 3 just came out this year. Next up is a series by Hawley. This is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, and her newest release of A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire. I have not read this one yet, but I did read these two. I read this one last year and I read this one earlier this year. These are fantastic. So you basically have a witch who accidentally summons a demon while she was trying to cook. They're kind of tied together. Oz is so wonderful. And this one you have the demon Astaroth, who Claudia basically kicks his ass and he loses his memory and he kind of comes back to her for some help. This one is exactly how it sounds like. A werewolf tries to seduce a vampire. I haven't read it yet, but I will be reading it this month. The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. This book is super short. You can read this really fast. This, I wouldn't say necessarily gave me nightmares, but as soon as I finished this, I had to pick up a fluffy rom-com just to get this out of my head. It's a book I still think about today. It is basically take Disney's Little Mermaid and make it extra dark and messed up. It's crazy what they jammed in here in just over 100 pages. But oh my god, so good. And as a side note, they also have a ghost story, which is Nothing But Blackened Teeth. I did read that. I wasn't too much of a fan of it, but if you want a quick ghost story, you can try that one. This one is for if you are 18 plus and you don't mind kinky stuff. The Dare by Laroux is so short and so spicy. It takes place on Halloween. You have Jessica Martin, who is not very nice. She was like the queen bee in high school. And the guy that she picked on, plus his friends. It was so spicy. A little awkward, but it's the prequel to the Losers Part 1 and Part 2, which I have not read yet, but this one is specifically Halloween. And then there's The Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, and the third book just came out on the 8th, and that is The Wedding Witch. These books are both super fun. So basically you have a witch who curses her ex and he comes back and like his life just starts falling apart. Kiss Curse follows the guy's brother who basically does not like the main chick's best friend. Some kissing happens and they think it's a curse. And The Wedding Witch I don't know too much about, but I will be picking it up and I will be reading it. These books are so fantastic. This is a solo trilogy also by Laroux. These are available on Kindle Unlimited. The Dare is not. I believe it actually was taken off Amazon for a while just because of the content of it. So check your trigger warnings. Check them with this. But you have Her Soul to Take, Her Soul for Revenge, and A Soul of a Witch. These all take place right before Halloween, and the accumulation of all the events ends on Halloween night. All three of these deal with a demon. You have Leon, Zaid, and Callum. You have Ray, Juniper, and Everly. But these are very spicy and these are all interconnected. So you get Ray's story and Juniper's and Everly's. So I do recommend reading these in order, but I don't think it's really necessary, but fantastic series. Next is The Coven by Harper L. Woods. This is definitely one of my top reads, probably in my at least top 10, maybe top 15 of all-time reads. I originally read it on Kindle, bought it off of Amazon, bought the special edition as soon as that came out. Obsessed with this. I have not read the second book, but this is also available on Kindle Unlimited, just like the second one. This is dark academia. There's witchcraft. He's the headmaster. It's a kind of spooky school. There's stuff that goes on, and it is fantastic. Now the next book is the one book that's not necessarily Halloween. It's just more cozy fantasy, and that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is a fantastic read if you just want something that's not high stakes. You just want something that's really cozy and just gonna put you in the mood just for like, oh, I don't want to say light fantasy because it it's orcs. But it's about the orc Viv, who basically gives up her job to open up a coffee shop. And it's all about everything that happens. There's a little bit of a love story between Viv and Tandre. It's just a really great cozy read if you're looking for something just lighthearted and will just hit you in the feels. It's good. Now, if you want a spooky house story, this is The Spite House by Johnny Compton. It's not too long, just over 200 pages. This is basically a man who is almost, don't want to say on the run, but he's trying to stay off grid with his oldest daughter and his youngest daughter. Something's just not quite right, and he picks up a job where he has to stay in the Spite House, and it's about the story that ensues, and you just figure out what is not quite right with the family. Very intriguing, very entertaining. I quite like this. Next is going to be a vampire story. This is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This is such a unique story in a way that it is written. It's written in letter format. So you basically have Cassandra, who is the original first bride of Dracula, and she is writing letters to him, and it basically goes through their life together as they take in more people. There is polyamory. Dracula takes her as a wife, then he takes another, then he takes a husband, and they're all together. It's such a unique story based on just how it's written and the concept of it. I remember when I finished reading this, I just had no idea what I felt after it, but the longer that I sat with it and thought about it, I was like, you know what, this is actually really great. And this is actually available on Kindle Unlimited. Now, if you want a werewolf story, this is Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. This is an unconventional werewolf story, so if you read like Wattpad stories, this isn't gonna be like that. But this is basically about the life a girl has to deal with once she comes back to town and she's attacked, and things just start happening to her. And then there is just a little bit of a love aspect to it, but it's mainly about what happens when you get attacked by a random creature. On the flip side, this one is a little bit more like a Wattpad style book, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is enemies to lovers, arranged marriage, vampire, and werewolf. I actually really did like this. It was a really fun, entertaining read. It sets up for a sequel which would involve her friend, which sounds even more entertaining than this one. But apparently this book taught a lot of people what nodding is. Spring Harvest is a book for you if you want a vampire attack at basically Coachella. So definitely not set in the fall, it's actually set in, you know, hence name, spring. But this is about a vampire attack that happens at a festival and how the main chick basically survives. And this is by Rektok Ross, and this is available on Kindle Unlimited. It's a really fun read. Oh, do I love these books. Butcher and Blackbird and Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. These books are fantastic. I will say I like Butcher and Blackbird more, but this one is still really good. So basically you have, this one is two serial unalivers who basically start a competition and they eventually get together. This one you have a contract serial unaliver and then just a regular serial unaliver, and they are pretty much like almost enemies to lovers. It's a marriage of convenience, and it is actually really fun, and it sets up for the third and final book fantastically, which I am so excited for. Is it Sparrow and Scythe? Something like that. Can't wait. Highly recommend, but do check your trigger warnings. There's accidental cannibalism. It's a little bit messed up. Now this one is a duet by Sophie Lark. This is There Are No Saints and There Is No Devil. You do have to read these. First this one and then this one. This duet is really dark and it is available on Kindle Unlimited. So again, check your trigger warnings. Just check them. Just check them. Be wary of what you're getting into. But this is about Cole and Mara, who are both artists. Cole is well known. Mara is a nobody. But their paths cross, and then he begins stalking her. There is serial unaliving. There is deranged happenings. Stuff that is not okay in real life, but makes for an entertaining book. I really did like this. Next on my list are 3 thriller books by Alicia Dykma. I talked about her before. I did go to high school with her. I think it's fantastic that she is an author, and I have 3 of her books. 2 of them I bought myself. The third one she actually gifted me. Very happy with that. So these are all thriller books, and the first one I ever read was If She's Found. This is about a mother whose daughter goes missing, and all signs kind of point to something happened in the family, and that is why she is missing. It's definitely not a happy ending, but there is a twist in here that I didn't see. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Everything she has is, I'm gonna be honest, not my cup of tea, but anybody else could probably like it. If I read it at a different point in my life, I probably would really enjoy it, which means that I should probably reread this again. But I was reading this, and for some reason reading it triggered an anxiety attack, and then I just had a really hard time getting through it. But this is about a woman who has nothing really going on in her life, and she kind of attaches herself to a man and she tries to change herself to emulate his wife to kind of get him and everything she has. And there is a twist in here. Unfortunately, I did clock the twist a little early, but I have that problem with thrillers. Nothing against this book, but it's still enjoyable. It just took me a while to get through. And this one is my favorite book that she's done. This is Without You. This is about Scarlett and Evan, who grew up together. They had a troubled past. Evan is basically a psychopath. She ends up running away from him, and it's several years later she thinks she's finally escaped him until the day of her birthday when she comes home and there is a red box on her doorstep. And the red box means that he has found her. And this is their messed up story, because what happens in here? Messed up. But these are really good thriller books and they are available on Kindle Unlimited. And I have another vampire story for you. This is My Roommate is a Vampire and My Vampire Plus One, which just recently came out and I have not read it yet. And these are by Jenny Levine, and when I read this one, I stayed up to finish this. I believe I read it in one day. It is so funny, and Frederick the vampire, he is adorable. He basically accidentally gets put in like a vampire coma, we'll call it vampire sleep, for way too long, like over 100 years, and he wakes up and it's a new century and he has no idea how to like survive in the world. And so he relies on his friend, who his story is My Vampire Plus One. I think his friend kind of likes toying with him because he ends up getting a roommate who happens to be Cassie, and he's a little strange because he's a vampire and he doesn't want the human girl to know, but he kind of needs someone to point him in the right direction on how to survive in the modern world. It's hilarious, it's great, it's cute, it's fluffy. Loved it. I'm expecting the same amount of fluffy and banter in this one, so I'm very excited to read this one, which I will be delving into in October, hopefully. Moving on to one of my all-time favorite series, and the 6th book actually comes out in November, and that is gonna be my beloved Never After series by Emily McIntyre. These are dark Disney / fairy tale reimaginings. So you have Hooked, which is Peter Pan, Scarred, which is The Lion King, but technically it's Hamlet. It's more Hamlet than Lion King. Wretched is The Wizard of Oz. Twisted is Aladdin, and Crossed is The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Fantastic series. Very dark, very twisted. The villain gets the girl. In this case, Fathercade, Jafar. In this one, the FMC is actually the villain. The MMC is not. Scar and Hook. Honestly, these are so great. I don't know which one is my favorite. All of these are fantastic. And the 6th book is Hexed, and it is The Little Mermaid, and it's about Ursula, and I am so excited. Her name's not going to be Ursula in the book, but you know, I'm so excited to see what she does with that. And just as an incentive to read all those, they are available on Kindle Unlimited. Now this one is a haunted house story. This is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. So you have this woman who comes back to her childhood home because her mother is dying. She hasn't been home in a while. She didn't want to come home because that is where her father kind of people, and it's pretty messed up. The way that this is written is, it's eerie. I wouldn't say this is very like scary, but it's just eerie. I feel like when I read this, my skin kind of crawled at some of the scenes in here, but it's a fantastic haunted house story, which has nothing to do with ghosts. And next up is a series that I plan on reading in October. This is The Witches of Thistle Grove. So starting with the first one, it's Payback's a Witch, then it's From Bad to Cursed, Back in the Spell, In Charm's Way, and Rise and Divine. I have absolutely no idea what these books are. I kind of want to go into these blind because I prefer some stories to go in completely blind. I don't think there's anything I need to worry about trigger-wise. So I am very excited to read these. I have a lot of witchy books on my TBR for October. Next up is a book that still haunts me. This is Ghost Eaters by Clay McLeod Chapman. This book will make you second guess eating mushrooms. I'm just gonna read the blurb for this because I think it summarizes it better than what I could say, which is, Erin hasn't been able to set a single boundary with her charismatic but reckless college ex-boyfriend Silas. When he asks her to bail him out of rehab again, she knows she needs to cut him off. But days after he gets out, Silas turns up dead of an overdose in their hometown of Richmond, Virginia, and Erin's world falls apart. Then a friend tells her about Ghost, a new drug that allows users to see the dead. Wanna get haunted, he asks? Grieving and desperate for closure with Silas, Erin agrees to a pill-poppin' seance, but the drug has unfathomable side effects, and once you take it, you can never go back. It is fantastic. It is messed up. I still think about this to this day, and I read this almost a year ago. It's so good. This book, I think about the ending because it was a little bit messed up. This is A God in the Shed by J.F. Dubois. On the back it says, in this quaint farm village of St. Ferdinand, an ancient evil lurks, threatening to destroy the town and its residents. Something's weird going on with this town. Something happened decades ago and there is an evil there and it winds up in a shed somehow. And there is a second book to this, which I have yet to pick up. I really do want to read it. I did enjoy this when it came out. It is creepy and there are different points of views, so you get a couple of different perspectives of what's going on, and it is a great read for October. This next book I have not read yet. This is Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert. This is a thriller book that involves a serial unaliver. I believe I had explained this before in a previous video, so I'm not going to try to harp on this too long. I know I talked about it in my birthday vlog and my birthday book haul. That's what I did. And it says in here, the sole survivor of a serial killer might hold the key to stopping a new spree of murders. And this just sounds really fantastic, so I cannot wait to dive into this. I hope this thing that happens with thrillers doesn't happen with this because it feels like it has more of a horror element. Very excited for it. And if you're looking for a really cute YA, just really fluffy read, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw is a book to read. It's really not that long and the font is a little bit bigger, but this is a book that takes place after The Nightmare Before Christmas when Sally marries Jack and she becomes the Pumpkin Queen, and she deals with all the insecurities that she has about running Halloween Town alongside Jack. I thought it was really cute. I talked more about this in my September reading wrap up, but it's a fun read. I really enjoyed it and I'm happy that I picked it up. And then I have another book that I haven't read. This is Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. From what I understand, this doesn't actually involve ghosts. It just involves kind of like a haunted house slash a haunted area, and there's a love story to it. Alright, so the last few books I'm going to mention are on Kindle Unlimited, and they are on my personal TBR because they seem like quick reads. Some of these I have read, some of these I have not. First one is going to be Spookily Yours by Jennifer Chipman. This is a quickish book. It's about 246 pages. This is about a woman and her cat happens to be a demon that transforms into a hot man. The blurb says, my cat is a demon. No, that's not a joke. An actual real-life demon, and he needs my help to break a curse. But what happens when that turns into more? It can never be forever, and yet I'm falling in love with him anyway. It just sounds like a cute read. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I think that is something that I would enjoy. I'll be honest, this next one grabbed my attention by the cover alone. It is Her Favorite Jack-o'-lantern by Rebecca Rennick. This is not that short of a book. It's 424 pages. This is about two neighbors that are kind of opposites, and I think that they knew each other when they were younger. She is the oddball of the town. She is very much into Halloween. He's in the army, he's back from deployment, and they are attracted to each other, and I can't wait to see what happens with this. This next book is actually a series, and I read all of these books. It is the Monsterly Yours series by S.J. Sanders. There are 8 books in here, and like I said, all these are on Kindle Unlimited. I'm not going to talk about each book individually, but these are all, as it implies, monster romances. So you get orcs, trolls, and you get werewolves that are more werewolf than human. I will recommend checking what is in these books before you read them if you are not into monster romance. I will say the last 2 books in the series, Trick or Orc and Goblin Candy, are more Halloween centered. They are basically like Halloween little short stories. These are super quick, they are fun, they're a little awkward, but they're entertaining. This next book is, I think, part of another book, but is Excess Baggage by T. Culp. I have not read this yet, but it's basically about a guy who meets the girl of his dreams, and she just has some excess baggage in the form of, it seems, a demon. And the book that it's tied to is Lazarus Spiral, and I believe that you can read this without reading that. And it does say the standalone story is perfect for fans of horror romance, romantic comedies, or just seeing someone have a worse date than you. So it does sound interesting. I will have to look into the Lazarus Spiral to see if it's a story that I am interested in reading. But there's that one. And it's under 200 pages, 166. And these last 2 books I'm going to mention are more on the very spicy Halloween side, which is Riding the Headless Horseman by Molly Likovich, which I could be saying her name wrong, I apologize. But this is a book that is inspired by Sleepy Hollow, and as the title says, you're going to be riding the Headless Horseman. This one is definitely short. It's only 50 pages. It's going to be a really quick read, probably awkward, and I would say check the content warnings before reading this because this may not be suitable for most people. Anybody, really. Then the next and final book is Carving for Kara. This is a dark romance Halloween novella, part of the Rex series by Dana Leanne and Melissa McSherry. This is 128 pages. You'll find that with a lot of these books, you'll see a little blurb that will be like, "Your mental health matters. Read this section in its entirety." This book is not intended for readers under the age of 18. Read with caution. Your mental health matters. The book you're about to read is dark and not recommended for all readers. The content within this book is heavy. You've been warned. A list of trigger warnings can be found inside the book and in the preview. You'll find that a lot of authors don't put that in there lightly because they do care about the mental health of their readers. They want their readers to be well informed before they jump into a book exactly what they're getting themselves into. If you're not into dark romance, do not read dark romance. It's not for you if you're not into it. But the tagline for this is, "He is my predator and I am his prey. Tonight he is starving for a taste of what's his." It does sound really dark and twisted. Again, check your warnings before going into it, but it's on my TBR. I've seen a few people talk about this one on TikTok, but nothing really in depth, so I'm not too sure exactly what it all entails, but I'm interested in it. Alright, that is all the books, and wow, did I talk a lot about books, but I got through all 31-ish, give or take. I know I talked about some series, so it's technically more than 31, but let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you have any Halloween recommendations. Leave them all in the comments below. I would love to just make a list of even more books to read. But I think that covers everything, and like I said before, everything that I talked about will be listed down below, so make sure you check the description if you're interested in picking up any of these books. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like, and if you haven't already yet, please subscribe. It would make my day. And if you want, you can follow me on my other socials. I'm artistryxashh everywhere. And if you want even more book content, you can follow me at ashley_with2h's.reads on TikTok and Instagram. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this. Stay spooky, and I will catch you all tomorrow for a brand new video. Bye!